Hello, hello. Welcome back. I am, yes, going to do another pod vlog just because I love it so much. I had so much fun doing the last one. I was actually excited about doing another one. So we're just going to stick with this for the time being. This weekend, I went to Arizona and I visited Sedona for the first time. That's somewhere I've always wanted to go. So you're going to be watching that on screen. I went on a little hike and had a great time. I absolutely love being out in nature, and I'm trying to get into hiking. It's pretty cool so far. So, today's pod vlog, I want to talk about how I really transformed my life over the last few years, and I've just become so much happier and so much more content with everything around me. 4 years ago, I was really sad, I was really lonely, and I was sick of hating my life. I was so tired of pretending to be okay and to be happy. Everyone that knew me always saw me with a smile on my face, but internally, I honestly hated everything. And in 2020, even before the pandemic, I was just so burnt out, stressed out, angry, lonely, sad, just every single feeling you could imagine. And then the pandemic hit, and I feel like that just illuminated everything even more. And I was working a job. This was back when I was an attorney and I hated everything about it. If you know my story, you know I should have never went to law school, but I did. I just wanted to get money. I did what I was supposed to do. I went to school, got good grades, got a big law job, worked that, and realized that it was soul sucking and I needed to figure something else out. But in 2020, I thought, let me just get a different job. Maybe that'll fix everything. Lo and behold, it did not. So I vividly remember my 27th birthday sitting in the house by myself, and I was just crying the entire day. Like, I absolutely hate everything about my life. I felt so lonely and just unhappy, and I didn't know what the hell to do. I was in a career that I hated. I felt like I didn't have any friends. I felt like I didn't have any hobbies, and I was just sick of it. I don't know. I'm not the type of person to be able to like settle and like stick with something that doesn't make me happy. I honestly can't do it. So I just started to figure things out. I started to ask myself questions, and I wanted to take you all through some of the questions that I had to ask myself and some of the answers I had to find in order to really change my life and to start feeling happier and then building a happier and more fulfilled life, which I feel like I have now. Obviously, everything is always changing and we're trying to get better, but I genuinely feel happy at my core. So let's get into it. The first thing I had to do was make a commitment to myself that my happiness was the most important thing. I decided that I was my priority and I deserved it. I deserve to be happy. And that had to be more important to me than other people's expectations, than my friends, than my family, than my boss. It had to be more important than anything else. And the question that was associated to that realization was, why do I think my happiness isn't worth pursuing? Sit with that for a moment. Yeah. The next thing I really worked on was this idea of self accountability. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the first thing. And it's essentially that I'm responsible for my own happiness. No one was coming to save me. And I know that when you're down and when you feel like everything sucks, that's the time where you want somebody to just come in and fix everything for you the most, right? You're just like, ugh, I wish someone would just come and solve all of my problems. And I felt like that. I felt like a victim all the time because I was just like, life is just so unfair. And I had to snap out of that. I really had to ask myself, what have I been blaming on other people? One of the big things that I struggled with at that time was loneliness. And to be honest, I blame that on everybody else but myself. I always said, people don't invite me out, and why don't I feel included? And all of the things that go through your mind when you feel lonely. And I never really took responsibility for that. And I realized doing that was preventing me from taking the steps to actually make good friends and have good relationships and not feel so lonely. But instead, I was just ruminating on that, blaming other people. So, really had to kind of face that and say, what have I been blaming on other people? And how can I stop doing that? I also really struggled with self trust. And that lack of self trust is what caused me most of my anxiety. I was always worried about the what ifs, what's going to happen if I fail, what's going to happen if I succeed, what's going to happen if somebody doesn't like me, if I let somebody down. I always had these kind of fears and anxiety about the future. And it's honestly because I didn't feel like I could rely on myself. I had spent years and years and years breaking promises to myself over and over. And another question, how would I feel if my friends were breaking promises to me like this? How would I feel if my significant other constantly made promises to me but never came through? I wouldn't have trust. I couldn't trust that person. I couldn't rely on that person. And that was the same relationship that I was creating with myself, a complete lack of self trust. And that lack of self trust made me incredibly anxious. I could never, ever just calm down and trust that everything would be okay. I was always worried that I wasn't going to follow through and I was going to let myself down. I also realized that I had to prioritize fun and enjoyment. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a household that said fun was a luxury and work was a necessity. And that was the way it was, and that was the way it was going to be. And I really internalized that message. I always thought things had to be hard, work had to come first, fun is not that important, enjoying it, so what? Just grind through, deal with it, figure it out. And that was running me into the ground. I was so burnt out from just living this like hard life for so long, and I hated it. It was causing me so much strife in every single thing that I did. So I just started to ask myself, what did I look forward to the most as a kid? What was fun for me when I was a kid? And I'll tell you now, it was cooking, it was dancing, it was traveling, it was playing, it was doing all of those fun things that I used to do as a kid, but then, you grow up and you get rid of fun. And when you get rid of fun, you get rid of fun. It's no more fun, and you can't enjoy your life when you never have fun. So ask yourself, what did you used to like to do? I also had to stop pushing parts of myself into the closet, and I'll explain. You know that movie Inside Out, where there are all these characters in their brain? There's joy and sadness and anger and fear. In the past, I only wanted to deal with joy. Sadness and anger and fear, I would just push those into the closet and act like they weren't there. I avoided them like the plague. I stuffed them away and acted like I didn't have to deal with them. And trust me, I had to deal with them, okay? Because those things were trying to come out and trying to be felt, and I was avoiding them. So I had to ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? And why have I been avoiding it? That one is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. You might cry, but it's important. And the last thing I did was I started focusing on my mind. I realized that I just let my thoughts run rampant. I let my thoughts control me all the time. And I really had to ask, what type of thoughts do I have? And if I continue to have these thoughts, what type of life am I going to have? Tough one. But those are the things that I had to come to grips with. I had to answer those questions, and I still answer them honestly on a daily and weekly basis just to make sure that I'm keeping up with what is going to ultimately make me the happiest. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. Let me know if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.